These colossal black holes may themselves be the products of earlier, smaller mergers, a cosmic lineage of ever-growing giants. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, well, the City of Light shone brighter than ever as fireworks and drones painted the night sky with vibrant colors marking the Bastille Day in Paris. Thousands had gathered to witness a spectacular celebration. Bastille Day commemorates the storming of the Bastille prison in Paris in 1789, and that is a pivotal event that marked the beginning of the French Revolution. Take a look at these visuals. With that, we call it a wrap to this bulletin, but don't go anywhere. We have more on the other side of the short break. Coming up is India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is in China to attend the SCO summit. The External Affairs Minister met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. More details on the other side of this short break. You're watching WION World is One. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. climate tracker on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
Welcome back. You're watching Beyond World is One. I'm Shivan Janna. Let's start with the headlines. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev says the US President Trump's 50-day ultimatum to the Kremlin over the Ukraine war was theatrical, says Russia didn't care. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar calls on President of China Xi Jinping in Beijing. Jaishankar is in China to attend the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting. Indonesian rescuers are searching for 11 people who remain missing after a speedboat capsized in West Sumatra province. 7 people, including 2 boat operators, had been rescued. Intense rainfall over New York causes severe flooding in the city, sending water gushing into a New York subway. Authorities issue several flash flood warnings across the area.
No, he shouldn't. He should get out of the station.
Oil drifts lower as Trump's Russia ultimatum and looming 30% tariffs cloud demand, while OPEC Plus and Goldman remain cautiously optimistic. Australia bowl out West Indies for just 27, the second lowest score in Test history. Mitchell Starc took 6 wickets while Scott Boland bagged a hat-trick as the visitors completed a clean sweep.
Catch and slip there first, then the second, and he was on a hat-trick. And guess what? Warrican became that hat-trick victim.
And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in China for a key diplomatic mission, and this is his first visit to China since the 2020 Galwan Valley clashes. Jaishankar, along with other foreign ministers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO, they met the Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. Now, Talking about it, Jaishankar said that he briefed President Xi Jinping on recent progress in the India-China ties and conveyed warm greetings from President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Earlier, the minister held bilateral talks with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. The two sides discussed ways to strengthen cooperation and resolve ongoing challenges. External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar stressed that the relationship must be built on mutual respect, mutual interest and mutual sensitivity. He also underlined the need to remove trade barriers and ensure that border issues between the nations do not escalate into disputes. Now, this visit marks a cautious but a critical step in recalibrating India-China relations, even as both the nations navigate complex regional dynamics within the framework of the SCO meet. All right, there's more to unpack in this. Siddhant Sibal, our assistant editor for Foreign Affairs, has sent us this report to understand better.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar earlier today called on the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Call on is seen important, especially at a time when India and China are moving towards normalization of the relationship, a process that started last year when the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping met on the sidelines of the BRICS Kazan summit. Now, essentially, both sides are working towards resumption of people-to-people relationship. As part of it, we saw the resumption of the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra earlier this year. Direct flight connectivity, also sharing of the water data when it comes to the shared rivers between India and China as well. But remember that China is the chair of the SCO grouping, and earlier last month we saw the Indian NSA and the Indian Defence Minister travelling to China, and we could see next month the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi travelling to China for the summit as well. But all in all, when we know that India has its concerns with China over its support to Pakistan, and also when it comes to restrictions over rare earths, both countries, large countries with large economies engaging with each other, will be seen as a positive step forward. With video journalist Abhishek Siddhansibal for WION in New Delhi.
All right, it's over to Mumbai now. Tesla officially opens its first experience center in Mumbai. This happened on Tuesday, the 15th of July, with a Delhi store to follow soon. And after repeated delays over tariffs, policy demands, local manufacturing hurdles, the world's top EV maker has finally stepped into the Indian market. Tesla's India journey began back in 2016 when it started accepting Model 3 pre-orders, but no cars ever arrived. Pre-order holders waited years for refunds, with wait times stretching somewhere up to 7 to 8 years. High import duties of 70 to 100% plus luxury taxes made every Tesla in India at least twice the price of its global cost. In March of last year, India introduced the scheme to promote manufacturing of electric passenger cars in India, and they initiated this policy in 2024. EV imports over $35,000 now attract only 15% customs duty, provided manufacturers invest $500 million and start local production within 3 years, with an annual import cap of 8,000 units. Tesla responded by registering Tesla India Motors and Energy Private Limited in Bengaluru, hiring locally since 2023. Store managers, engineers, service staff, and about 36 roles so far, all hired locally. They rented a showroom for a reported $4.07 thousand per month. And now finally coming to 2025, July 15th, Tesla opens its Mumbai outlet, preloaded with at least 6 Model Ys from Shanghai, each valuing $32,000 pre-duty, post 70% import duty and surcharges. Indian pricing crosses $56,000, even before local taxes and insurance. And that puts Model Y in the high-end bracket in the Indian market, where EVs form just over 5% of new sales and premium EVs under 2% in India. Now, in contrast to this, mass market EVs like Tata, Nexon, they start at $16,860, far more affordable for most buyers. Tesla is also testing waters for future rollouts. Supercharger equipment and accessories worth $1 million have been imported, along with local infrastructure, hiring in Mumbai, Delhi and Gurugram. Now, global politics factors in as well. US President Trump weighed in on this, warning Tesla's India factory could impact American jobs, calling it unfair competition. Now, if sales hit a sweet spot and India remains supportive, Tesla could consider local assembly or factory through SPMEPCI. But current signals show no formal factory plans yet. For now, it's all about imports. All right, that experience center is now open in Mumbai. And for more on this, we are being joined by Disha Shah, our principal correspondent. She's joining us from Mumbai and she's right there at the showroom, at the experience center. Disha, give us the mood on ground. And it's been a rather long wait. What do we expect now?
Well, absolutely. It's long-awaited, much-awaited, and Tesla has finally made its debut here in India. And here we are talking about in India's financial capital city, Mumbai. And it is located at the heart of the city, which is the Bandra Kurla complex area. It is known as the upscale commercial hub in the entire city. And as you can see, the showroom, it spreads across massive 4,000 square feet. And since morning, we've seen so many people coming in, but the showroom obviously has not been opened for the people's experience yet. This is also known as the experience center. It will be open for the public to view the one model that they have launched, and there are two cars that have been on the display here. And the model that they have launched is the Y model, and there are two variants in that, and it starts from 60 lakh rupees and goes all the way to 70 lakh rupees over here. And as far as we know for the fact that this buzz, the excitement is a lot amongst Indian consumers here, but they have to pay a bit more considering the high import duty that it does. At the end of the day, at present, Tesla will sell only one model in India, the Y model. And as far as the company's details, they have already shipped 6 units of the Model Y SUV from its Shanghai plant to Mumbai, which will be used for display and demonstration purposes. Also, it is expected to deliver its first cars in India from August 1 is what we understand, and buyers can begin ordering their Teslas in India from this week onwards itself. So this is of course a massive wait that the Indian consumers have been waiting for a really long time. And of course, as and when they see that there are good sale numbers, they will definitely go ahead with more models being launched. But first, of course, they are looking at how the initial response in the Indian market will be. But of course, there are also talks about another showroom being launched in the national capital, Delhi, by end of this month. So, of course, as far as Tesla is concerned, it has its big plans going forward to, of course, focus on the Indian consumers and the Indian market. Currently, the Indian government also has an aim of going up the EV sales by 30% by at least 2030, and currently the EV shares is about 4%.
Yes.
So definitely this debut of Tesla will be really worth watching for.
Oh, and I can clearly see people braving it through the rains, as it seems rather cloudy where you're standing, but the people are really trying to get a glimpse into what there is inside that experience center as and when it opens. Disha, thanks so much for getting us the latest. There's clearly a lot of buzz around it. We'll be keeping a track on that with you on ground. Now, the hatch between the SpaceX capsule and the International Space Station has been closed. The spacecraft has undocked. Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 other astronauts are on their way back to Earth, and they should make it in the next 15 hours, somewhere close to that. After almost 2 weeks in space, the splashdown of SpaceX Dragon with Axiom 4 crew is expected to take place off the coast of California on Tuesday, that is today, at around 3 p.m. IST, where recovery teams will be waiting to retrieve the astronauts. And that's just a few hours from now. Now, the Axiom 4 mission began on the 25th of June with Shubhanshu Shukla as the pilot and veteran American astronaut Peggy Whitson as the mission commander. Other astronauts on the mission are Poland's Slavoj Oznacki and Tibor Kapu from Hungary. The team of Axiom 4 mission conducted a range of experiments aboard the International Space Station. The research spanned neurosciences, biomedical science, space tech and advanced materials. Eye movement in microgravity was studied as well, alongside experiments on the freezing of microalgae for long-duration space missions. As per NASA, the Dragon spacecraft will return to Earth with more than 580 pounds of cargo, including NASA hardware and data from over 60 experiments that were conducted during the course of this mission. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, a decorated officer of the Indian Air Force, is not only the second Indian after Rakesh Sharma to go to space since 1984, he is also the first Indian to go to the International Space Station. And there is more on this from our correspondent Siddharth MP, who sent us this report. Take a look.
The SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft carrying Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and the Axiom 4 crew is in the final leg of its return journey to Earth. The craft has spent over 20 hours orbiting the Earth after undocking yesterday evening Indian time, and in about 2 hours from now we can expect that this particular craft will make what is known as re-entry. For re-entry, around 2 p.m. Indian time, the craft will have to fire its thrusters or its engines for 10 to 12 minutes. Then the craft will be pulled in by Earth's gravity and atmosphere, and it makes re-entry at 28,000 kilometers per hour. And at the time of re-entry, the craft's outside surface temperature would be well over 1600 degrees centigrade, which is extremely hot. And after that, there will be a communications blackout of over 5 to 7 minutes when there is no communication from the craft or to the craft. Thereafter, once the craft descends into Earth's atmosphere, it will gradually deploy its parachutes, a series of parachutes, and then come down slowly for a water landing off the American coast. This is off California coast in the US. Then the craft will be recovered by ships and helicopters, and the astronauts will be taken for a week-long rehabilitation program. Thereafter, the Axiom 4 mission will officially be declared over. In Chennai, Siddharth MP, WION World is One.
The newly released CIA documents have revealed that the agency was monitoring Lee Harvey Oswald months before he assassinated President John F. Kennedy in 1963. Washington Post reported that new documents unearthed by a House task force prove the revelation adds fuel to the long-simmering questions around what the agency knew about the plot to murder the president and what else it may be hiding. In a groundbreaking development, for the first time, it's been confirmed that CIA officer George Jones was leading covert operations targeting anti-Castro Cuban exile groups that had direct contact with Oswald in the months leading up to the tragic shooting in Dallas. Jones, who operated under the alias Howard Mark Gebler, was responsible for infiltrating and influencing Cuban student organizations opposed to Fidel Castro. One such group, known as the DRE, had multiple confrontations with Oswald, who publicly supported pro-Castro policies. Now, for decades, the CIA denied any connection to Oswald prior to the assassination, and Jones concealed his role during congressional investigations to mislead lawmakers and the public. And this cover-up raises serious questions about what the CIA really knew and why it withheld critical information for so long. Now, these revelations come amid efforts initiated by the Trump administration, which ordered a full and complete release of all JFK assassination files. While thousands of documents have since been made public, significant portions still remain classified or heavily redacted. Now, the newly declassified documents do not provide direct evidence implicating the CIA knew about the plot itself to kill the president. They deepen suspicions, though, about the agency's actions, and they suggest a broader effort to obscure the truth. Experts are now calling for the release of all remaining files to finally shed light on one of America's most enduring and controversial mysteries. And 3 Israeli soldiers have been killed in an explosion in an IDF tank in Gaza, while 1 soldier is seriously injured, according to the Israeli Defense Forces. Now, the incident took place during operational activity in the Gaza Strip. The military suggests, the Israeli military, they suggest that after an initial investigation that the tank was hit by an anti-tank fire launched by Hamas in Jabalia. However, the IDF is also looking into other possibilities to determine the exact cause of the blast, and a full investigation is underway now. Furthermore, the Gaza Civil Defense Agency has said that at least 22 Palestinians were killed in the latest Israeli strikes in and around Gaza City and in Khan Yunis in the south. According to the health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza, Israel's military offensives have killed well over 58,000 Palestinians since October of 2023. The IDF claimed that the troops had destroyed buildings and infrastructure used by Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad (PIJ) militants in Gaza cities Shujaiya and Zaytun areas. The armed wing of Islamic Jihad, the Al-Quds Brigades, which has fought alongside Hamas, released footage that it said showed its fighters firing missiles at an Israeli army command and control center near Shujaiya. Meanwhile, Gaza ceasefire talks entered a second week on Monday, with mediators seeking to close the gap between Israel and Hamas. The direct negotiations in Qatar appear deadlocked after both sides blamed the other for blocking a deal for the release of hostages and a 60-day ceasefire after 21 months of fighting. According to sources, discussions are currently focused on the proposed maps for the deployment of Israeli forces within Gaza. Hamas has accused Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, who wants to see the Palestinian militant group destroyed, of being the main obstacle. Now, in other development, a CNN reporter says his crew was attacked by settlers while they were in the West Bank on Monday to cover the death of a 20-year-old Palestinian American, Saifullah Musallet, who was allegedly beaten to death by Israelis near Ramallah several days ago. Musallet's family has said that it wants the US State Department to investigate his death and hold the settlers accountable.
He was just like a regular kid. I mean, to me, I remember him when he was born. He grew up in Port Charlotte. He went to school in Port Charlotte. I mean, everybody knew him. Everybody, whoever met him, just fell in love with him because he was just so, just loving, respectful. And then to be taken away by the way he was murdered, illegal Israeli settlers.
Meanwhile, Christian leaders have accused Israeli settlers of attacking sacred sites in the West Bank in violence that one said was forcing some to consider quitting the occupied territory. And Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces, the RSF, has reportedly killed 48 civilians in an attack on a village in the center of the war-torn country. Some reports put the number of the deaths as high as 300. A monitoring group called the Emergency Lawmakers said civilians were killed en masse when paramilitary fighters stormed the village of Garfa in North Kordofan state. The group documents atrocities throughout the 2-year conflict between the regular army in Sudan and the RSF, the paramilitary. It said that the attack occurred around 90 kilometers north of Bara, a city currently under RSF control, where fierce clashes have recently broken out between the paramilitary force and the army. The village also lies on a key highway to Khartoum, some 250 kilometers southwest of the capital, which the army recaptured in March. The UN's International Organization for Migration said that intensified fighting in the region forced more than 3,000 people to flee. Many have sought refuge in surrounding parts of Bara. According to the UN agency, the Sudanese army has launched several offensives in recent weeks to regain control of Bara, a key strategic location in North Kordofan. Now, in its third year, the conflict has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced millions, creating what the United Nations describes as the world's largest displacement and hunger crisis. And there is more on this from our correspondent Louisa Olani, who sent us this report from Lagos.
When the Sudanese army retook the capital back in March, most people have thought that the almost 3 years conflict was coming to an end. But it is otherwise. Mass killings of civilians were reported over the weekend when paramilitary fighters stormed the village of Garfa in North Kordofan state, razing houses and looting property. Emergency Lawyers, a group that has documented atrocities throughout the 2-year conflict between the regular army and RSF, confirmed scores died. Another report claimed hundreds were killed in Shag al-Nom village via arson and gunshot. Lots of call to end the crisis continues from different right groups and United Nations, which had described the conflict as the world's largest displacement and hunger crisis. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION, World is One.
And from the world of music now, if you are an Elvis Presley fan, this next one is definitely going to pique your interest. London is being graced by the king of rock and roll, opening in London's immersive LDN Arena on July 17th, Elvis Evolution. It offers tours through a retro diner, Presley's lavish dressing rooms, and the NBC stage for his dramatic 1968 TV special. As audiences witness an AI-enhanced Presley belting out his greatest hits, live actors and musicians also perform in movie-scale sets.
I think the best part of playing young Elvis is getting to use my love for acting and singing and getting to play it through a very, very big global icon so that I can be out there and more people can see why I'm doing this and more people can learn about Elvis. I think that's just my favorite part.
Some of the seated parts of Elvis Evolution also trace his journey to the very beginning when the music superstar was just a country boy growing up in rural Mississippi. The pre-recorded intro to his childhood features young actors playing a pre-teen Elvis and Sam Bell, his close friend from childhood. In fact, Presley's journey is introduced and narrated by Bell as an adult and a child.
Well, Sam Bell plays an important role in Elvis Evolution. He's telling the story of his best friend, Elvis Presley, who became the king of rock. And I think playing in this important role, I'm really honored to do it, you know.
With the teenage actors tracing Presley's childhood and friendships, Elvis Evolution aims to recreate less documented snapshots from his early life. As for his meteoric rise to becoming the king of rock and roll, no actors are required for that bit. The multi-sensory experience is accompanied by some of Presley's greatest performances with generative AI to make him look more lifelike and interactive on the screen. Elvis Evolution will run until December of this year. And a global festival of the Bhagavad Gita concluded in Texas, showcasing grand displays of spirituality. People arrived in large numbers to celebrate the timeless wisdom of the scripture. More in this next report. We'll take a quick break after that. Stay with us. This is WION. I'm Shivan.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
WION WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back to WION World is One. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Heem Kaur Suroya and here's a look at what we've lined up for you on Speed News today. US President Donald Trump has given Russia a 50-day ultimatum to reach a peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine, warning that failure to comply will result in severe economic consequences, including 100% tariffs on Russian goods. Trump expressed disappointment with Russian President Vladimir Putin, stating that he thought a deal would have been reached 2 months prior. During a meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump announced plans to send more weapons to Ukraine through NATO, aiming to strengthen Kyiv's defenses against Russian forces. The tariffs would be secondary tariffs targeting Russia's trade partners, effectively crippling Moscow's ability to survive existing Western sanctions. Germany and the United States will make a decision about sending US-made Patriot missile systems to Ukraine within days or weeks. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said after meeting with US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in Washington. Pistorius also said that Germany had sent a letter of request to the US asking for the potential purchase of Typhoon long-range missiles. The missiles could be a stopgap solution, bridging the time between the temporary deployment of the US-made missiles to Germany in 2026 and the time when Germany and other European nations will have developed their own long-range weapons. The United Torah Judaism, an ultra-Orthodox party in Israel, has left Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition over disagreements of exempting yeshiva students from mandatory military service. This move significantly weakens Netanyahu's government, reducing his majority to around 61 seats in the 120-seat Knesset parliament. Dozens of people gathered in Toulouse to demand the release of George Ibrahim Abdullah, a 74-year-old Lebanese militant imprisoned for his role in the 1982 assassination of U.S. military attaché Charles Robert Ray and Israeli diplomat Yaakov Bar Siman Tov. A former leader of a small group of pro-Palestinian Marxist Lebanese Christians, Abdullah has been behind bars since 1984. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1987. Despite being eligible for release for over 25 years, his requests have been repeatedly denied. A French court is set to deliver a ruling on the 17th of July on whether or not Abdullah will be released.
Communiste libanais qui est en prison en France depuis... Toute une vie de combat, libérer Georges Abdallah et 40 ans de Georges Abdallah, qui est de nos luttes, nous sommes de son combat, libérer Georges Abdallah.
China successfully launched the Tianzhu-9 cargo spacecraft carrying about 6.5 tons of supplies for its orbiting Tiangong space station. The spacecraft was launched from the Wenshang spacecraft launch site in Hainan on a Long March 7 Y-10 rocket and entered its designated orbit after separating from the rocket. The cargo craft will dock with the space station and deliver supplies, including life support materials, space suits, scientific payloads to the Shenzhou 20 and the Shenzhou 21 astronaut crew. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, marking his first visit to China in 6 years. The meeting occurred on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Foreign Ministers meeting. Jaishankar conveyed greetings from Indian President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi to President Xi and briefed him on the recent developments in India-China bilateral ties. A woman college student died in India's Odisha after she allegedly attempted self-immolation. The 20-year-old had reportedly set herself on fire in Balasore, protesting official inaction on her allegations of sexual harassment by a professor. According to reports, the victim sustained 90 to 95 burn injuries and was undergoing treatment in AIIMS Bhubaneswar. Despite the medical team's effort, she succumbed to her injuries. Odisha Chief Minister expressed grief over the demise of the Balasore student and assured that the guilty individuals will face punishment as per law. Taiwan's military conducted live-fire drills simulating defense against an amphibious invasion focusing on the Penghu and Matsu Islands. The exercises involved troops firing javelin missiles, machine guns, tank rounds at maritime targets as well as speedboats, drones and mortars. The drills aim to prepare for potential threats from China, particularly in the grey zone with Chinese Coast Guard and fishing vessels. This year's Hankuang drills are the most comprehensive yet, marking the 41st iteration of the annual exercise amid increased military tensions with China. A boat carrying 18 people, including 10 local government officials, capsized off Indonesia's Mentawai Island in West Sumatra province due to bad weather. Rescue teams have saved 7 people while 11 remain missing. Dozens of rescuers and 2 boats are searching the area around the accident site. The incident highlights the risks of maritime travel in Indonesia, an archipelago prone to accidents due to lax safety standards and unpredictable weather. After spending 18 days at the International Space Station, Indian astronaut group captain Shubhanshu Shukla and his Axiom 4 mission crew members have embarked on a journey to return to Earth. The Dragon capsule is expected to splash down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California at around 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time today. A grand framework and drones display lit up the night sky around the Eiffel Tower in Paris in celebration of Bastille Day. Crowds gathered to watch as drones encircled the landmark in tribute to France's national motto and the 10th anniversary of the Paris Agreement. According to reports, the hybrid display featured 1,000 LED-equipped drones to produce the immersive visuals, pyrotechnic effects and animated sequences as well. Dozens of US ice cream makers, representing about 90% of the country's ice cream supply, have pledged to remove artificial dyes from their products by 2028. This move is part of broader effort by food manufacturers to eliminate synthetic dyes due to potential health concerns. The International Dairy Foods Association is leading this voluntary initiative, with participating companies agreeing to remove 7 dyes from their products. The move follows similar efforts by companies like Nestle, Kraft Heinz, and General Mills to remove artificial colors from their foods. Several subway lines are underwater as crews work to remove water in some of the stations within New York City and severe flash flooding. One video shows flood water gushing through the entrance at the 28th Street station, crashing down stairways and soaking the entire platform. Commuters were trapped inside the station, looking on hopelessly as the water levels rose. Service was suspended in one of the lines in most of Manhattan because of flooding near 96th Street.
No, he shouldn't. He should get out of the street.
Eyewitness videos show thick smoke rising from White Sage Fire now burning across the north rim of the Grand Canyon. According to the National Park Service, the fire sparked by lightning near Jacob Lake has scorched over 49,000 acres and is still 0% contained. It's part of a larger wildfire that has destroyed up to 80 structures, including cabins and park buildings. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs is calling for an investigation into why the fire was allowed to burn for a week before federal crews stepped in. Now, China's economy slowed in the second quarter, even as it topped market forecast in a show of resilience against US tariffs. However, analysts warn of underlying weakness and rising risk that will ramp up pressure on Beijing to roll out more stimulus. The world's #2 economy has so far avoided a sharp slowdown, in part due to its fragile US-China trade truce and policy support. But markets are bracing for a weaker second half as exports lose momentum, prices continue to fall, and consumer confidence remains low. Investors are closely watching for signs of fresh stimulus at the upcoming Politburo meeting due in late July, which is likely to shape economic policy for the remainder of the year. Bitcoin vaulted past $123 for the first time overnight. That's the latest milestone for the world's largest cryptocurrency as investors bet on long-short policy wins for the industry this week. That's been dubbed as the Crypto Week by US Republicans. The US House of Representatives set to debate and likely pass a series of crypto-related bills this week. The bills could provide the digital asset industry with the nation's regulatory framework it has long sought. Those demands have resonated with US President Donald Trump, a Republican who called himself the crypto president, and urged policymakers to revamp rules in favor of the industry. Bitcoin is now up more than 27% than in 2025. The dollar hovered near a 3-week high versus major peers as traders awaited the release of US inflation data later in the day. That could provide clues on the path for monetary policy. The US currency was also buoyed by elevated treasury yields, with investors weighing a potential exit of Jerome Powell from the Federal Reserve as Trump continued his criticism of the central bank chairman. Experts say call from the White House for leadership changes at the Fed may increase. Trump renewed his attacks on Powell, saying interest rates should be at 1% or lower rather than 4.25% to 4.5% range. The Fed has kept this key rate at so far this year. Australia's central bank proposed to scrap surcharges on most debt and credit card payments for consumers while lowering interchange fee paid by businesses. Steps it estimated would save the two groups around $1.57 billion a year. In a consultation paper on the proposals, the Reserve Bank of Australia said surcharges and fee were no longer in public interest and invited feedback from interested parties by August 26. The RBA judged the surcharges on debit and credit cards, including MasterCard and Visa, no longer achieve the intended purpose for steering consumers to make more efficient payment choices. The RBA said avoiding surcharges will become harsher as cash usage declined and there were challenges for enforcing the current rules. The central bank's most recent consumer payment survey found that the share of consumer payments made in cash had fallen from 70% in 2007 to 13% in 2022. Fauja Singh, the oldest marathon runner to complete a full marathon at 100, passed away on Monday after being hit by a vehicle in his native Indian village in Punjab's Jalandhar. According to reports, Singh was walking in Beas village when the accident occurred and later died at a private hospital. With a career spanning 14 years between 2000 and 2013, Fauja Singh completed 9 full marathons, including 6 London marathons. Fondly known as the Turban Tornado, he became a global icon after featuring in Adidas's Impossible is Nothing campaign. Mitchell Starc celebrated his 100th test with the fastest 5-wicket haul in history as Australia bundled out West Indies for just 27 to win the Kensington Test. Starc struck with his first ball and claimed 5 wickets in just 15 deliveries, including his 400th test scalp. Scott Boland then grabbed a hat-trick, leaving the hosts level with the lowest ever total before a misfield saved them from infamy. Australia sealed a 176-run win and a 3-0 series sweep.
The last wicket. It was Pyrotechnics, 204, the target Stark, getting those three and really setting the tone for what was to come. It really unfolded quite quickly. That was his most.
Manchester United are being sued by one of their former players at Congo's Axel Tuanzebe has filed a legal complaint alleging medical negligence by the club. The 27-year-old is reportedly seeking over $1.25 million in damages. The legal claim relates to an unknown injury sustained in July 2022. Tuanzebe filed the case in the High Court in London. Tuanzebe left Manchester United in 2023 after 17 years with the club and joined Ipswich Town. He is currently at Burnley. Vanessa Hudgens revealed that she is expecting her second child with her husband Cole Tucker. The couple made a joint post on social media. The caption read, and I'm quoting, "Round 2. Hudgens rose to fame as Gabriela Montez in the Disney trilogy High School Musical. Tucker is a professional baseball player who currently plays in the MLB for the LA Angels. The couple married in Mexico in December 2023 and had their first child in July 2024. South African singer Tyla's party track Is It and accompanying music video have dropped. The track was produced by Sammy Soso, who has worked with the likes of Wizkid and Lisa from Blackpink. The music video was directed by Ariane Marino, who is known for directing artists including Maroon 5, Tate McRae and Cat's Eye. Celebrities from the worlds of film, music and fashion were spotted in the audience at Wimbledon tennis tournament in London. Screen stars included Orlando Bloom, Paul Mescal, Andrew Scott and Keira Knightley. Matthew McConaughey and former One Direction singer Neil Horan brought their partners along as they followed the matches from the Royal Box on centre court, including the gentlemen's singles final between Italian Yannick Sinner and Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Japan Society in New York City is hosting its 18th annual film festival, Japan Cuts. Festival organizers claim it is North America's largest festival of contemporary Japanese film. The festival celebrates the past year of contemporary Japanese films from major blockbusters, indie darlings to the next generation of filmmakers. This year, the festival is showing close to 30 films over the next 10 days, and the festival runs from the 10th of July through the 20th. Amazon Prime Video has unveiled the highly anticipated first teaser trailer for its upcoming psychological thriller series, The Girlfriend. Starring Robin Wright and Olivia Cook, the 6-episode drama promises a chilling exploration of family dynamics and suspicion. The series is based on Michelle Francis's best-selling novel of the same name and is set to release on Amazon Prime Video on the 10th of September. Pardon me.
She reminds you of me. My son, he's always had girlfriends speak about anyone like this.
Netflix has released the intense first trailer for its new political thriller series, Hostage. The trailer offers a tantalizing glimpse into a high-stakes crisis at the heart of international diplomacy. The 5-episode limited series stars Suran Jones and Julie Delpy. It is set to land on the streaming platform on the 21st of August.
I will not be threatened. I will not negotiate or to this country. I will not allow it to be.
And with that, we call wrap on this edition of the News Bulletin. News and updates will continue on the other side on WION World is One. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA, and Canada.